Tomorrow is my one-year anniversary of serving at the will of the mayor in this role as strategist to assess and determine a path to comprehensively address the impact of the opioid crisis in our city, and that affects our residents. I'm as honored to be in this role today as I was a year ago. I've learned a lot, and as you can tell from the energy right here, our strategy is in full effect. To prime the pump for today's news conference, I want to share something from a conversation I had with Police Chief Lawrence Weathers, which is why I've asked him to be up here with us. Early on, I met with various folks within internal government and outside government to ask about the impact of their work, of opioids on their work. In my meeting with Chief Weathers, he looked at my flow chart and pointed slowly to something I had written on my flow chart, which was best practices. And what he reminded me, I don't know if you remember, he reminded me that where it's nice to hear and glean about the work that other people do, that I need to be mindful that Lexington is a very unique place, and that whatever strategies we decide to enact, that we need to make sure it has Lexington's personality, the local climate, includes our assets, and also addresses our local challenges. He encouraged me to seek innovation and creative proposals. Today's announcement gives a specific nod to the Chief's encouragement to do just that. We have a few speakers today and a few people that we'll acknowledge throughout our speech today. We're going to try to get anyone who has a 10:30 meeting out of here on time to make it to your meetings. I've heard a few folks have some things to do later. We'll first hear from our mayor, two representatives of the project, and also hear from a well-known business community leader, and we'll try to keep it brief, just a hint to everyone. Without further delay, let's get this rolling. Mayor Linda Gorton.
Thank you so much, Andrea. Andrea said a year ago tomorrow. I started a year ago today, so guess what? One of the first things I did was grab her. Good morning and Happy New Year to everyone. As we begin a new decade and a new year, I am very happy to announce our partnership with Anti-Opioid Initiative to help teenagers stay clear of opioid addiction through the FEND app. FEND stands for Full Energy, No Drugs. Let me say that again, Full Energy, No Drugs. The opioid epidemic has taken the lives of too many of our talented Lexingtonians. It has been a priority of mine to find the best ways to stop the spread of this deadly disease in our city. And before I go on, I do want to thank Councilmember Susan Lamb, who is here, because our council partners are right in this with me. Thank you. I also want to recognize Judge Julie Goodman, who is here. Thank you very much for coming over. For the past year, Andrea James, my community response strategist, has been working to collect data and build a team that can help us combat this epidemic. Through her work, we have received financial support to work with Anti-Opioid Initiative and FEND. Where many local organizations and institutions have received sizable grants for treatment and recovery programs, Andrea found this funding was still needed for primary prevention. Studies have shown that one of the best ways to stop drug abuse before it starts is through focused messages filled with education, tips, and tools. Lexington has over 75,000 youth under the age of 18. 75,000. We all want to help them grow and learn and become successful adults, and we want them to avoid the trap of addiction. FEND puts opioid use prevention tools in the hands of young people on devices they already use, like cell phones, and it gives them incentives to steer away from drug use. With a generous donation from the William R. Keenan Charitable Trust, support from business partners, and through work with Anti-Opioid Initiative, FEND is our next tool to reduce illicit drug use in our city. I look forward to this partnership with Anti-Opioid Initiative, working with our local FEND community coordinator, Divine Karama, and engaging future private and corporate supporters of this program. By working together and utilizing unique programs like FEND, we can help prevent substance use disorder, as well as support treatment and recovery programs. We have to take a holistic approach and battle this epidemic from all sides. Teaching young people about the dangers of addiction, opioids, and prescription drugs better equips them to handle situations, helps arm them with useful tools, and, we hope, deters them from the use of illicit or non-prescribed drugs. Again, I want to thank all of you for being here today. Thank you very much. Thank you, Andrea.
And thank you for your vision, Mayor. Next up, we'll hear from Jackie Burgess. Jackie is the Executive Director of the Preventum Initiative. What she may not have time to say in her brief remarks, but something I'd like to highlight, is that Jackie's background, like our mayor, is that of a nurse. Her assessment and triage skills towards treatment and solution are evident if you've spent any time speaking with Jackie. I'm glad to have Jackie as part of their team, their local team. Jackie, if you'll step forward.
Thanks, Andrea, and thank you, Mayor Gordon. We're so excited to be bringing FEND to Lexington. I'm going to tell you a little bit about FEND. So what we do is we take evidence-based research and we put it into content that's relatable and relevant to youth. So we're trying to give these youth information about what is an opioid, why is it so addictive, how to spot the signs of an overdose, what to do if there's an overdose. And we also bring in information about mental wellness, building resiliency, because we know that mental health issues and substance abuse often go hand in hand. So we take this content and then we use strategies like gamification to reward them for learning. So we're more about giving kids the information rather than preaching at them, so that they can be empowered to take on that information to not only look after themselves but to keep their friends and family safe. We will be announcing some great rewards and that will be brought on by local business sponsors, but we will be announcing in a few weeks a scholarship for seniors. But our idea is that we want to get these middle and high school age students, give them information so they can keep themselves safe, but then also take it out into the community where they can talk to business owners, where they can take it into college with them. So yeah, that's FEND, and we're really excited to be here, and you'll be hearing a lot more from us. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. This next guy, for the local folks, is an inspiration to us all. You may know him as the guy who led, most recently, an effort to gather 2,700 coats for children all over Kentucky. Today, we are delighted to have him as the local FEND community coordinator, Divine Karama.
Good morning. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, Mayor. So just a little background. I am a hip-hop artist by trade. That is my gift and my passion. And a few years ago, I dedicated my life to using that gift to try to empower young people to find their purpose. So I've been blessed to be the director of a youth nonprofit here in Lexington called Believing in Forever, Inc. I teach a leadership and hip hop class at UK. That's pretty cool. They got to create a hip hop album for their final exam. So yeah, it's pretty cool. So I'm always trying to find unique ways to use music, the world's most diversely supported and youth-targeted genre of music in the world, to try to give back to young people and empower them. So that's kind of my background. So when Jackie and Andrea came to me with this opportunity to take the reins of getting young people in Lexington engaged in this app, it was a no-brainer for me. I've been working with young people for the last decade on the front lines, in the streets, in the classrooms, from the suburbs to the hood to the holler. And drug use is running rampant amongst our young people. They are literally cornered at every turn by opioids and drugs. I have two daughters. One attends STEAM Academy, the other one attends Lafayette, and both of them are kind of introverts. They're artistic, but they're kind of introverted. And some of the first questions that they're asked when trying to meet new people and engage and meet new friends is, do you take drugs? Do you smoke? Like, those are the first questions that they're asked. When it comes to hip hop music, which I'm a hip hop artist, and again, this is the world's most streamed genre of music in 2019, drug use is glorified by almost every popular mainstream hip hop artist today, and even pop artists are glorifying drug use. When you get on social media, drug use is glorified. And sometimes you don't have to go any further than your parents or your grandparents' medicine cabinet. When I tell you that at every turn these kids are pressured with drug use, I'm not lying to you. So for me, I see the need. And I don't know how many of you remember when you couldn't talk on the phone and get on the internet at the same time, the house phone, the AOL dial-up. I kind of caught the end of that era. So even at almost 40 years old, I remember that. But it's even hard for me to put my phone down sometimes, if we're being honest. So imagine these young people who are literally dependent on these phones. So like Jackie said, they already have it every day. It's in their palm. So what better way to engage young people, inform them on the importance, the information that they need to navigate these drugs that are on these streets, that are at these parties, that are making their way into our schools, than on the phone, on this technology that these kids are using. So I'm gonna use everything in my power and my influence to try to get these young people to download this app and get informed and just get engaged. Because again, we may have lost future mayors, police chiefs, even the next president could have been lost to drug overdose. And I don't know about you all, but I don't want to lose any more of our young people. So today is a very, very, very important day. And I'm just blessed to be a part of the fight with these great people behind me. So thank you, and let's keep this thing going.
Thank you, Divine. He is here representing youth today because our youth started back to school today in public school. So, Divine, you're the young person in the audience today. Appreciate you. Lastly, as you've heard from some of the comments, this is about partnership and collaboration, and that's going to be key to the success of FEND as well as any other initiatives that we are doing in an effort to address the opioid crisis. I'm hoping that the enthusiasm of this next speaker will be contagious and bring all the businesses to the table wanting to engage in meaningful ways. Guy Huglet.
No pressure. Good morning, Lexington! Full energy, no drugs! There's a reason I'm last. So apologize. I just couldn't help myself. But you know, as a local business guy and community leader, I'm a past chairman of Commerce Lexington, who represents our business organization in this wonderful community that we live in. I stand here today with tremendous enthusiasm to talk about this initiative. It is an incredible partnership that is going to make a difference. Now, I'm going to tell you, I scripted myself today because I don't want to upset Andrea. You all know me. I like to talk, and I like to talk about things that I'm passionate about, and this is something I care deeply about. We are not going to allow this epidemic anymore to continue to kill our loved ones. And it is attacking us at a pace that I cannot describe. And many of you all know I'm very passionate about recovery in this community. And so I'm excited to be here today. But I want to say something about FEND and Preventum Initiative. We've been talking about the problem long enough. And that's what we do, and we do a great job of that. Spend hours talking about what the problem is and what it's doing, but we're not talking about the solution. And the solution is simply this: we have got to educate our youth before they got to. We just heard that kids are being asked to do drugs the second they hit the schools. And Preventum and FEND is going to combat that. But I want to say something I think is important that we all understand about this disease of drug addiction. I'm going to tell you, notice I emphasize the word disease. I'm going to say this. It destroys more things of value to us than anything in this world. I think everybody in this room knows somebody or someone that has been touched by this disease. And you know the pain and the misery that it has caused. You see, a disease that is cunning, baffling, powerful, and it's extremely patient. It's an illness within us that involves no other. It really does destroy everything worthwhile in life. It brings misunderstanding, fierce resentment, financial ruin and insecurity, disgusted friends, employers. It impacts our business community like you can't imagine. Warped lives of blameless children, sad parents, and family members. That's what it does. And I'm sure anyone in this room could increase the list. But you see, this is what I want to tell you. It's no different than cancer. Folks, and if you don't treat cancer, what's it do? It continues to spread. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to stop allowing this to spread. I want to share a story about this epidemic and how it really impacts this community. Several years ago, there was a group of 10 guys that at a local high school. They were all in the same graduating class. They were all best friends. In 2016, one of them died of a drug overdose. And we all were sad and disturbed terribly about it. And we talked about it a lot. In 2017, another one of those best friends of that group of 10 died of a drug overdose. Now we're starting to pay attention. Really? 2 out of 10 dead 1 year later? And yes, the unthinkable. In 2018, the third died of an overdose. And I was at that funeral, and one of the best buddies of that group of 10 came up to me. This was a local high school. And he looked at me and he said, "We are not going to stand for this anymore. We are going to fight and beat this thing." And his passion took on something I can't describe, but it relates to the technology of the FEND app. You see, what this guy did is he went out and got a bunch of concerned friends and family members of this class, and they decided to take on an initiative. 1,467 people died in 2018 of a drug overdose in Kentucky. And they said, we're going to get behind a race called the Run for Recovery that's sponsored by the Shepherd's House. And we want 1,467 runners to represent these folks because they are worth it. We're going to make a difference. 2 weeks before that race, they had 260 people signed up. They're like, oh my God, how are we going to do this? And you all know what they did. They went to this instrument right here. An instrument that can save lives but also kill lives in the same way. And they started using this technology, and 2 weeks later, yes, 2 weeks later, over 2,000 people showed up for that race that Saturday. Hundreds of thousands of dollars were raised to make a difference to fight this epidemic. So I share this story because what we are talking about today is the solution. You see, we live and work in the greatest place we could ever want to live and work and raise a family, Lexington, Kentucky. You all know how lucky we are. And that's why the business community is going to get behind this. It's worth it. We're going to make a difference and we're going to change. And how can you help? Simply get behind us financially. We need your dollars to support the gamification prize rewards. We need your dollars to grow this thing throughout the state of Kentucky. We're not going to stop just in Fayette County. We're going to go to a whole new level. We hope to put this thing throughout the whole United States because I think it really is the beginning of the end of this terrible epidemic that we're all dealing with today. It's a win, win, win for all of us, for our children, for our families, and for our communities. So let's go get them. FEND, full energy, no drugs. Thank you very much.
I told ya. It's been mentioned briefly, the mayor mentioned it, but the Keenan Charitable Trust was pivotal to rooting the beginning of this work. We've got representatives of Lexington Leadership Foundation here today, Eric Gary and David Cozart behind me, and want to definitely thank them for helping to connect to some local resources and even just about the project in general. They were our connection to that. We've also got I want the members of the Preventum team to step forward just a bit so everybody can see who you are. It's Jackie and Divine, but also others. So Steve Asher and Ash and Jackie, as well as some other folks in the audience. So if you have not, shout out to them. And if you as a business leader or organization have not met with these folks yet, try to grab their business cards today and connect so that we can link up what you have available, what they have available, and get some collaboration going. We've got a representative of the University of Kentucky. Scott Day is here. Scott is on our advisory team. So there's an organization advisory team as well as a youth advisory team that is helping with the development of the app as well and the implementation. I want to give a special invitation to you, and Heather Lyons can help if she will help distribute. There's a flyer of an event coming up this Friday, happening this Friday. It's a partnership with the Allegro Dance Project. They're doing an encore presentation at the Lyric Theater of a performance called Substance. If you have not seen it, if you didn't see it back in August, you can't miss this. It's absolutely fantastic. It's about specifically substance abuse, substance use disorder. So that will be this Friday at the Lyric Theater at 7 p.m. And we hope that you can make it out for that. Again, thank you for joining us for this. You can download the prototype of the app, of the FEND app. They've got some gear for you. Please come grab a pair of glasses, a t-shirt, take some photos with it, help amplify, and help us get this word out to the youth in Lexington. And I guess we'll take questions if anyone has any questions. Is that okay to do? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, we'll do them off camera. Thank you all for being here today. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.